Now, we're in the year 2013. So far this year we've said goodbye to HMV and Blockbuster, and who knows what else is to come. Movies are the United States' biggest cultural export, yet despite this, the industry is shrinking, with over 70,000 job losses every year, and this is all down to piracy.
What we need to do is, I think we need to kind of change the mindset of the consumers of music and basically get them to think about the value of music and what would happen if there is no money paid.
I think piracy has got lots of bad press, mainly because the people that are giving it the bad press are people that are actually directly affected from it, i.e. the people that are working within the media industries. But I think it has a lot of potential benefits. Yes, there are some negatives associated with it as well, piracy. Obviously people are getting their hands on things for free, but the world is ever changing. The world is changing, and the internet is probably one of the biggest changes to our society since the Industrial Revolution.
But I really don't see how they will do it. There hasn't been much done to discourage it. I mean, you see campaigns on the TV and things, but your average 15, 16-year-old will just look at that and ignore it completely. So I don't know. With me, I always preferred to have the hard copy, the CD, and you own an actual thing. I don't like having these virtual bits of files floating around on your laptop. I'd far rather have a CD that you can hold, a physical product. But again, they're becoming in decline. They're less common than they were 10 years ago, so they may die out completely. I'm not sure.
As I was saying, downloading couldn't be simpler. I mean, when I was at college, media lecturers, it's like their industry, they encourage us to download stuff for free, and it's like their industry, so like, why would they teach us if they're trying to save the film industry and the music industry? Anyway, they told us, and if I want to download something, it's quite simple. So in front of me I've got YouTube and a YouTube video. Now if I wanted to download it, all I'd have to do is copy and paste the URL, paste it into KeepVid. I'm not actually going to download it because it's illegal, but all I have to simply do is click the download button. After that it would give me the options if I want it as an MP3 or an MP4, and after I minimise it, I would then have the video in front of me on my screen here as a QuickTime movie, and that is how simple it is to download the ease.
My name's Nigel. I'm a lecturer here at Tresham College. I'm also a radio broadcaster. I do this freelance. I used to work for the BBC, and I'm also a DJ of 13 years. As far as music downloads and illegal downloads and the way we obtain music, it's certainly changed quite obviously immensely over the last, well, really over the last decade and perhaps 15 years. I remember kind of the exciting days many years ago when I was living in Somerset, when I went to London to basically search for a rare record or a rare CD. It was a challenge. It was exciting, and I would only do this perhaps once or twice a year. But the hunt for that rare import of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, the soundtrack, which I couldn't get on any of the record shops around where I used to live, so it became something very much a passion that you had for the music, and that really has sort of evolved and has grown, as I'm sure it has for many people. So that grew for me into becoming a broadcaster, being able to use technology like this to be able to share my opinions, my thoughts on music. And of course things have changed. I started off very much, yes, I did buy records, and I have copious amounts of cassettes, and then of course CDs. Like many people, those CDs I found have become very much a dead media. I say dead media, and without offending those people like in shock that I dare and say that, but if you look on so many sites, from eBay to Amazon or whatever the multitude of these sites are that allow you to sell secondhand anything. I've looked on there, and so many CDs are worth pennies. I mean, literally, they won't even sell. From a CD album to CD singles. There's a site called Magpie, and for an album that you might have spent 14, 15, 18 pounds on 10 years ago, you'll probably get 30p at a push now.
Adult films top the scale at 35.8%. Music follows closely and fares better at 2.9%. And lastly, ebooks at just 0.2%.
Personally, I wouldn't be discouraged from entering the music industry because of piracy, because even if I wasn't going to make as much money as I potentially could, I would still want to make music. But I can see that it could be a problem for a lot of artists to be put off by the idea that somebody could take their work without paying for it and they wouldn't make the money that they deserve out of it.
So how do we get music these days? Well, like a lot of people, it's download. There are sources like iTunes. Now, of course, Steve Jobs was the one who originally set the price of music when he turned around and set up iTunes and said, this is going to be the standard price for music. And at the time, it is my understanding that a record company was like, you can't do this. Some CD singles are worth $1.99, some are $2.99, some are more. And basically, he set a level playing field and determined with the power he had through Apple and through iTunes, he basically said, this is the price, this is the value of music. And soon won over the record companies. That soon became the norm. And then, as I'm sure everybody remembers, we had, I suppose the most prolific of its time was Napster, the music downloading file sharing service where music was distributed and shared illegally. And there were copious other of these sites that sprung up to download your music. And because it's so kind of pervasive and so ingrained into kind of the kind of culture we have now, it's very, very difficult to turn around to, I would suppose, anybody who's kind of new into music, at whatever age that might be, to turn around and get them to perhaps think about the value of music, the value of owning something tangible like a record, a cassette, or a CD, or MIDI disc, which is short-lived, or DAT, whatever the format is. It's very different. It's a cultural change that needs to happen. There are some sites available which do make music downloads legal and incredibly cheap. And hopefully, perhaps this might change people's minds.
Now, the music industry has to face the fact that consumers no longer want to own physical discs. Opinion is shifting onto sites such as Netflix and LoveFilm, and the consumers want to download and stream movies and watch them instead of buying them. Hollywood doesn't want this, however, and the reason is simple: profits. And profits means money.
A couple of years ago, I remember reading a quote from a lady called Dana Boyd when she was speaking at the Cannes Film Festival to a whole load of movie producers, and a quote that I've heard from her, which is a great quote. She said, stopping developments in technology is like trying to build gigantic walls when planes were first invented, i.e., when planes came around, everyone thought, this is fantastic, we've got a new way to travel. The train industry didn't say, right, everyone stop using planes, we're going to lose loads of money. Yeah, the film industry shouldn't say, everyone stop downloading because we're going to lose lots of money. They should think, well, how else can we make money? What other ways are there?
My name's Paul Morrell. I'm a record producer, DJ and promoter. As a producer and a songwriter, if people are downloading your music illegally, then you're obviously not creating a revenue from that music, and therefore you're losing money from the kind of profit that you would be gaining if you were selling records.
There are some people who have seen the benefits of this technology, the benefits of the internet, the benefits of saying to someone, look, hang on, dear Fred, based in Seattle, Washington, check out this band. And it's instant. You don't have to go through the previous channels to get someone across the globe. Within seconds, I could turn around, tweet, share, link to Facebook, whatever it is, music, perhaps of a local band, a local artist. So as much as it's very easy to really be derogatory about new technology, and of course, again, I keep saying this, I'm not excusing illegal downloads, but we do have to think about the way technology has also benefited some artists, and the way it has actually changed the industry for the better in many people's eyes.
Hollywood wants us to continue to buy DVDs and Blu-rays because the profit margin is much higher, but the consumer doesn't want this. He's telling them he doesn't want this. He wants to download movies. He wants to watch them online. Things are changing. Technology is changing.
When you look at both the music and the film industry, I think there's a little bit of difference there. I mean, if you look at a film such as Paranormal Activity, which was a very low-budget American movie, it's actually relatively, in comparison, the biggest grossing movie of all time, Paranormal Activity, because it had such a low budget, but it made such a huge amount at the box office, and of course you've got the 4 subsequent spin-offs. Now, when that was first released, it didn't really perform very well at the box office at all. However, it was the word of mouth and through social media that actually promoted the film and got it out in so many cinemas. So with a film like that, a small indie film, it has actually managed to become one of the biggest worldwide blockbusters, and yes, relatively the biggest grossing movie of all time because of social media. So how can the movie industry then say, well, the internet is killing us, when you've got a great example there of a film that would have died on it? I don't want to need to rephrase it. It would have died had at the box office had it not been for the internet.
The pirate films that I have seen in the past have been maybe filmed in the cinema, or they're ripped off a promo DVD or whatever, and it's not giving you the same high quality product as with music downloads. With the music download, it is a kind of high quality audio piece that you've taken off the internet. There may be I think there needs to be some sort of regulation or some sort of punishment to take away the ease at which people can download music and movies from the internet, because it is just a process that is killing creativity, really. If people aren't going to make money from music and film, what is the point in making them, really?
Have you ever downloaded illegally, and why do you choose to do it?
Yes, I have, because it's just convenient. Computers there. Click, download, done, sorted.
Do you download illegally because you believe the software or music are overpriced?
Yes I do. With some of the VSTs I use for my music, inputs, whatever, massive. Costs anything up to £2 grand, so just Google, download, and it's already there. So yeah, it's just easier.
The film industry needs to change a little bit. The music industry, however, I think that's a different ballgame altogether. You've got music in itself isn't making as much money as it used to. You have people like, for example, Lady Gaga. She offered her last album on sale on Amazon for 99 pence to download just for one day. It made huge amounts of sales for her around the world, and cemented her album at #1 around the world, which she wanted the publicity for that. Now, what she's then done is done a huge, massive worldwide tour, which has generated her, I think, around about $150 million, and that's decent amounts of money. I mean, no artist is going to get that from purely record sales alone. So I think going forward, the way for artists to make money is through gigging, through concerts, and they've just got to understand that you can't make the huge amounts of money that you used to from just releasing an album or just releasing a single. It's in this world of instantness, you can't monetize that. So look at different ways of doing it, rather than just saying, right, here's my album, go and buy it in HMV, and then the money will come back to me. If you do that, you're not going to make any money in the long run at all.
So, as we saw throughout that film, there are both pros and cons to illegal downloading. The music industry have learned its lessons and they're finding new ways to make money. Film industry, however, at the minute they're not, but they are investing in ultraviolet. Ultraviolet being software that people can download movies and stream them for a small fee, all legal. Film industry hope all the money they're putting in this will reduce piracy of their products. Whether they're right, well, just remains to be seen. And on that bombshell, it's time to end. Thank you very much for watching. Good night.